This is Kathy Biehl of EmpowermentUnlimited.net with Astro-Insight for the week of September 26th, 2022. They say there's not much you can do about the weather, but this week there's a lot you can do with the weather. There's not a lot of overwhelming, overbearing outer planet activity. Instead, the inner planets are having lots of conversations with each other, which translated into Earth speak is there's a lot going on that you can actually work with and do something about, and much of it has to do with information, with your information flow, your understanding of things in your lives, communications that you're having with other people. And that goes through a very interesting journey this week. Ultimately, actually, it starts out very beneficially. Not just ultimately beneficially. At the beginning of the week, there is a moment of great clarity about values and desires, and there is a very strong potential for conversations with people who are important to you, possibly people from the past or someone from the past or a situation from the past, because Mercury is still retrograde as the week begins, which is a teaser as to what might be going on as the week ends, but we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Big streaks of reaching understanding, singular, reaching understandings, plural, having an extremely expansive, optimistic, exuberant concept of what's possible for you and going for it and locking some of that into place, and also addressing some little nagging issues that are nudging you to do things differently and to step stuff up into a higher level or the next level or whatever cliche you want to use for it. Just doing things differently, addressing something that's been hard, taking a deep breath, doing it, bringing it up, merging it into, weaving it into the discussions, and getting somewhere with it. This comes from Mercury meeting Venus on the 26th, at the same time that Mars is in an uncomfortable semi-sextile with Uranus, and the Sun opposite boundless Jupiter, really pumping up desire to indulge in what you want. Even with the expansiveness and the boundlessness and the sense of, well, I'll just go for it because I want it, there is also a strong focusing vibe in all of this, addressing situations that are profoundly important to you, perhaps not consciously important. There's a bit of a tractor beam vibe in this, of gravitating to something, being drawn almost on a cellular level to something that you deeply desire, and at the same time stripping away something that really doesn't fit or doesn't make sense. Big, important conversations accompanying this, maybe inside your head, maybe actually with someone else. These energies of Venus trining Pluto and Mercury trining Pluto on the 26th and the 27th facilitate incredible candor, talking about things that you don't normally bring up and doing it unabashedly without too much fear. Probably you'll find that finally addressing something, finally saying something makes it a lot less scary, and lo and behold, the people around you or the person in the situation is open to it, amenable to it, maybe even already considering it. One caveat worth throwing in here is Venus-Pluto aspects have a way of bringing triangulation to the surface. And that can be you wanting two things that don't really quite coexist easily together, or there being a relationship with a third party influence in it. And the two trines to Pluto, which has a laser focus, also a scythe, can go from one extreme to the other. It's possible that a situation that does have three people in it will maybe come up with a new way of doing things that works all three of them into it, more likely someone's going to get cut out of the picture. None of this is destabilizing. In fact, every conversation, every push forward, every act of assertiveness flows right into grounding and calm and structure and things starting to take root. Mars is trining Saturn on the 28th, which is great for conversations and even agreements about commitment, about responsibility, about putting some kind of structure or form onto situations. It's also really good for dealing with the established order. While we're running around collecting different bits of information, finding ways to stably and deftly multitask and juggle many different things with this Mars-Saturn trine, the relationship vibe, the social vibe shifts from how can we make this better persnicketiness to let's all play nice. Let's find ways to get along. Venus moves into Libra on the 29th, where she will remain until about halfway into November. This is one of her homes. Venus in Libra inclines us all to take other people into consideration, to speak more civilly to each other, to strive for grace and harmony, or at least pay it lip service. There's a possibility of some backhandedness with this. But for the most part, it's going to be really welcome because Venus and Mars will be compatible by sign and moving closer and closer into actually being able to do a lot of things together or in mutually supportive ways. This is great energy for creativity, for writing, for litigation, for seeking justice or policies that bring equality into situations. And initially we go about this in a really big way because as soon as she slides into Libra, Venus is in an opposition with Jupiter. They are both influences of indulgence. Gimme, 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 I want more. And there's a bit of a laziness that goes with this too. That's exact on the 1st. And then the week wraps up with something that might be a double whammy if there were actually anything tangible about it. Mercury stations retrograde on October 2nd, immediately after completing an opposition to Neptune. This does a number of things. First off, there's a slowness when Mercury is stationing in either direction, so there's a sense of being suspended in time. It's possible that will make for a perfectly beautiful weekend, especially with Venus having just moved into Libra, so maybe it's like the socializing weekend of the year, unlike anything we've experienced in a long time. Secondly, even though Mercury is beginning to turn around, the contact with Neptune heightens all of the confusing and woozy-making qualities of his retrograde, bringing them to a head and escalating them before he starts to move forward and dispel a lot of the clouds. All of this makes for a wonderfully escapist few days. Do look for ways to actually enjoy being around your fellow humans. October is going to be a really slam-bang month, so take advantage of the opportunity to just kind of float on the clouds for a little while. Homing thought of the week. Listen to your heart and speak it. Song of the week, What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. And the image of the week is signing a contract and going out to dinner to celebrate. You'll find more about this in my forecasts for the months of September and October at my site, empowermentunlimited.net, where you can sign up for my mailing list and book a session with me. I'm Kathy Biehl, a professional astrologer with more than 30 years' experience. I host the show Celestial Compass on Om Times Radio on the first and third Monday of every month at 5 p.m. Eastern. I also host lively conversation on Facebook at Empowerment Unlimited and the group The Astro-Insight Lounge. I have lots of bonus content at patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, including a discussion of how the equinox chart is going to be affecting us for the next 3 months. And I'm deeply grateful to the people who support my work there. I'm on Instagram at @KABiehl and on YouTube at the Professional Aquarian Channel. Talk to you next week.